In this video, I'm going to show you this spreadsheet that's on the screen, which is a cake cost spreadsheet. If you make cakes to sell, this spreadsheet will help you find the cost of that cake and also come up with its selling price. If you're interested in this material, it's available for purchase at the link in the description of the video. Before we get started, it's important for me to mention that when you're pricing a cake, you definitely need to know its cost. This spreadsheet will give you that in a very simple way, right here, and also here. But to arrive at the selling price, you can't just have the cost of the cake. You need to have a breakdown of all your fixed and variable costs. And for that, this spreadsheet will help you too. So, before we actually dive into the recipe, the composition, the ingredients, and everything that goes into a cake, we need to look at your business and think about the fixed and variable costs that are part of it and that will need to be passed on to the customers. For this, we have two tabs. We have a fixed costs ABA and we have a variable costs ABA. You need to enter in this fixed costs tab all those that won't change throughout the month. Fixed costs stay the same. Rent, salary, internet. List costs and amounts. For example, I'm talking about rent, I'm talking about your salary, internet, various maintenance fees, so all the fixed costs, regardless of how many cakes you sell, you need to put in this tab the name of the cost and its monthly amount. Furthermore, for the spreadsheet to be able to transfer these fixed costs, you need to enter your monthly revenue. You come here, enter how much you sell per month, and the spreadsheet will, in fact, transfer this cost to your product. In addition, we have variable costs, which are those costs that do vary percentage-wise throughout the month based on the sales amount. So, if you sell $1,000, you'll have 3% of that amount as a fee. List them, and the revenue percentage will cover your variable costs. You will come here to this tab and put the name of the course in this column. And the percentage of your revenue, that percentage will cover all your variable costs. You enter that in the tab, and once those 2 points are filled in, we can actually get into the cake formatting to figure out what the cost of that cake is. But now, with the fixed and variable costs filled in, you'll be able to pass all of that into your selling price, so we can put together our cake recipe. First things first, we're going to register the materials. So, in this tab, you're going to enter all the possible ingredients you might use when making the cake. Why are we putting all of them here in this tab and not directly over there? Because there, in that other tab, we will only select the ones that will be here. Update prices here once, and all cakes adjust automatically. Change the price, and then all your cakes, which can be diverse depending on these ingredients, will already be updated. You don't have to change the price of each ingredient one by one. So, you're going to put all the possible ingredients in this tab. In the first column, you'll put the name of the ingredient, in the second, the reference quantity, and in the third, the reference price. Just a reminder that each row corresponds to a product. And what I mean when I say price, difference, and when I say quantity, reference. It means that when you go to buy this product at the supermarket or from your supplier to make your cake, you'll find exactly that reference quantity for that reference price. So, for example, eggs. I'm simulating, in this example, that I'm going to pay $4.50 for 12 units. Butter. I'm simulating that I'm going to pay $7.50 for 500 grams. So, it's obvious that the values here are random just so you understand how the spreadsheet works. But you always have to put the name of the product and how much you're going to pay for a certain quantity. So, with that, we already have the registration of the materials. And now, we can actually start pricing our cake. What's your mission here? In the item name column, you'll have a checkbox in all the cells in that column. You're going to click on that checkbox and select the ingredient that you registered back in materials. Just a reminder that only the items registered earlier will appear in the checkbox. You put the name of the item, and in the column in front, the quantity. For example, in the case of eggs, I put 3. In the case of sugar, I put 150. 150. What unit of measurement? When you registered the sugar, you put 1000. Include a unit reminder. For sugar, use grams. A little reminder of what the unit of measurement you're talking about here. In the case of sugar, I put grams. So, 1000 grams. And in this case, I'm going to put 150, and it will refer to grams. So, that's why the same unit of measurement you put there, you have to put here in the quantity. That's your mission, to figure out the cost of the cake. Once you've done that, down here, you have the cost of it, which is $9.68, which is the same as what you can find right here next to it. Here, in this column, where you can see the cost of the product, it's $9.68. If your mission is to arrive at the cost of the cake product in a very simple way, that mission is accomplished. But I want to emphasize, there's not much you can do with that information unless you're pricing it. So, that's why it's important for you to watch the video until the end, because we're going to take that cost information and get to the selling price. But to get to the selling price, we need to add 2 more pieces of information here in the spreadsheet. First, the desired margin. What is this? I'm putting 35%. It's the profit margin that I'm budgeting. In this case, here, 35% means that for every $100 I sell, I make a profit of 35% of that amount. It's profit. I can cover all the costs, the cost of the goods, fixed and variable costs, and I still have $35 left as profit. This percentage is the profit percentage you'll have after paying everything in relation to the selling price. And one last piece of information is how many units this batch produces. What does that mean? When you put together a recipe, you're probably not just making it for one cake. If you're working at scale, you're going to make a recipe for several cakes. So in this case, if it's a recipe for 3 cakes, you come here and put 3. It means that I'm going to take the cost, divide it by 3, and then I'm going to do the pricing. If you do all this here for just one cake, you come here and put 1. Don't forget to also change the packaging that I had put here, and then everything is resolved. No problem. According to your needs, the spreadsheet will adapt. With that, we have the pricing. I kept that this recipe we saw will make 3 cakes, and the spreadsheet. It tells me that I have to sell each cake for $7.43. It's obvious that you're not going to sell it for $7.43. You're going to round that number up, so it looks a bit nicer, but either way, the spreadsheet gave you that information. A report shows how $7.43 selling price leads to $2.60 profit, 35% of the price of $7.43, and it gets to your profit. So, in this case, per cake, it will be $2.60, which is exactly 35% of the selling price. We have the variable costs, which are the ones you mentioned, totaling 11%. We have the fixed costs, which are 10.6%. In this case, you told me that your fixed cost in relation to the selling price is 10.6%. So, in every sale that happens, we're always going to have 10.6% for costs. Product $3.23. When you sell everything you plan to sell, you'll have exactly the amount to cover your fixed costs. The cost of the product is $3.23 because we have a total cost of $9.68 divided by 3 units. That's going to give you that amount, and the total costs come to $4.83. So, if you sell for $7.43 and have a total of $4.83, we have a profit of $2.60 in this example. Over here is the whole batch, meaning I took all the numbers that are here and looked at the entire recipe, multiplying the individual column by 3. So, when you finish selling the 3 cakes from this recipe, you'll have the cost of the product. As we saw, the cost of the cake here is $9.68, and it will be sold for $22.30, leaving a $7.80 profit, 35% of the selling price, 80, which is still 35% of the sale value, as you had determined any value. Whether it is the quantity of input, the quantity of ingredient inside each cake, the desired margin, as I'm doing here now. Change the cost of any of these products here. You'll automatically have your price adjusted. So, you solve it in a very simple way and make your life a lot easier because you have an automated and professional spreadsheet. So, as I said, this spreadsheet is obviously for calculating cake costs, but more than that, it also helps you figure out your selling price, which is probably what you're interested in. In addition, of course, it's much more comprehensive and it doesn't just calculate for cakes, it prices any item that combines various other materials. Like in the case of cakes, for example, or even resale items. So, you can buy an item to resell, and it will do the same pricing for you. In fact, I have several videos about this right here on my channel. So, if you're interested in this material, this cake cost calculator spreadsheet. Don't miss the chance to get this really valuable spreadsheet that's available here, in the link that's in the video description. Don't miss the chance to have this really solid material in your hands. See you around. See you later.